Welcome to our webcast. Today we are going to talk about how to succeed in complex smart city business now and in the future. My name is Erja Turunen and I am Executive Vice President here at VTT. Cities are forced to cope with existing major issues while being forerunners in fighting climate change. The future of cities is not set in stone and is not easy to predict. But choices they make now will shape the lives of generations to come. Cities need to select the right direction, take correct steps, and engage right partners in this journey. Everyone involved in smart city project knows how difficult it is to make smart decisions. The importance of holistic urban planning is understood, but practical implementation is difficult. Here at VTT, we can support cities to define their future target state and to implement the needed changes in an effective manner. How we do that? If we first look on the right-hand side, there we have our impact-driven leadership offering. We help cities to understand the future challenges and opportunities, and based on that, to define the strategic targets for the city. We do have following parts. First of all, we can do foresight and scenario analysis for concrete future understanding. We do strategic target and KPI setting for concrete future relevant target definition, communication, and progress follow-up. We make change roadmaps creation for enabling effective transformation planning and change management. For example, cities need to engage right partners into the change and to cope with policies in order to realize the change. Data-driven leadership ensures that long-term plans can be justified and led systematically despite the changes in political environments. Then we do have also competencies to help cities and the companies how to get there. It's rather comprehensive offering of which right pieces can be selected to meet the needs. VTT City Tune is actually the theme we are talking more today, and that's a tool for concrete planning of actions in visual manner. Then we have plenty of various competencies and know-how in different domains of cities, like in transportation and energy systems and so forth. We also act as an ecosystem facilitator because actually cities are the innovation platforms for many innovations. And then we are also developing tools and services for effective data sharing and exploitation. Today we focus on the left side of this framework and will concentrate on how companies can make business for them from this complexity. And next I would like to introduce Peter Ylén, and he will tell a little bit more in detail what it is about.
So welcome on my behalf as well. My name is Peter Ylén. I'm a team leader and principal scientist at VTT. My background is in system analysis, artificial intelligence, and business models. And I'm the owner of CityTune product. What we have in CityTune, we bunch a lot of different methodologies together to solve very complex problems in cities and built environment. Now, city development is a complex project. There are several interdependencies between many things. Everything affects everything. All these projects take time, and the question is, how do companies anticipate the forthcoming surprises in their long-term strategies when the future is unknown? Just managing the risk is kind of passive way to protect company, but how to be proactive? You have to take into consideration legislation, incentives, consumer behavior in the future, new technologies and business models, and all this in sustainability framework. Now, everything is changing with increasing rates. Complexity has increased, and there are several stakeholders in the business ecosystem optimizing their own agendas. So how do we manage these complex dependencies of different agendas and stakeholders and business models? Companies need help. If they just concentrate on managing the risks, they cannot be competitive. Now, if we take of digital twin of a city or digital twin of business, we have to understand how systemic holistic analysis tools work and how they can help to tackle challenges. This picture is a digital twin of a city, and CityTune is kind of a dashboard. The guy on the right is doing different what-if scenarios and testing what might happen in the future. And then you see all these effects in legislation and consumer behavior and money and brand image and innovations and circulation and all that. This is also a management flight simulator in a sense that you can try different things when you are trying to manage your own business or the city. And this is a visualization tool, so you can see all kinds of different actions. And you can do sensitivity analysis. You can do 100,000 different simulations by varying parameters and see what are the possibilities and how likely it is that something good or bad will happen. And then you see all these different dependencies, escalating things, death spirals, and possibilities for win. There are 3 types of managing life cycle of an ecosystem. There's ex ante, which means that you, before doing any kind of decisions, you evaluate all different impacts that can come from that and side effects and all kinds of things that might happen. This is kind of a tool for decision making before you make decisions. Or it can be something in when you do agreements with other companies or public sector. What kind of data has to be shared? So if you don't share this kind of data, nasty things will happen. Then there's ex post. So this is after things have happened. This can be a project where there's lots of money involved, several billions of dollars in sometimes when there's like a Berlin airport or something like that goes horribly wrong. And usually these kind of cases are evaluated in legal aspects and who's to blame and who's going to pay all the money. But it is kind of doing things, crying when the milk is spilled. So it would be nice to do ex ante and then follow it in real time. Real time means that you see all these quiet small signals and see that this might escalate and this might happen, and there's a small indication of these things happening. And then you can in an agile way, you can find different ways of managing these risks and doing corrective actions. So then you have all the time the best knowledge and different models for alternative futures, and then you can optimize your business based on that. And not only your business, but the whole ecosystem and value creation logic of different stakeholders. We put a bunch of different cases together to show you different aspects of CityTune. And case one is smart built environment. So we have built a tool for 4 large construction companies, a kind of common tool to help understand construction business and planning and what happens if the customer changes his mind and the quality of construction. How do you get the best possible solution for different needs and in a case when there's hundreds of suppliers and suppliers of suppliers. And the idea behind that was that we can control and minimize uncertainty and create transparency for better communication. So then you can discuss with your customer that if you change your mind or if you go for different materials, what kind of ripple effects will follow that. Case 2 is marine management and maintenance. We did this for ABB Marine. And you might be asking, if we're talking about built environment and smart city, what is the ship doing here? But in essence, a big ship is kind of small smart city. There's energy creation, waste removal, all kinds of logistics involved. It's just in very compact sort of package together, and this package can even move from one place to another. What we did for ABB Marine is tool for managing operations and maintenance and all kinds of things with everyday run of the ship. So what happens if the ship is without control in the middle of Pacific Ocean, and where should you take it, and if there's a critical part missing, what kind of actions are there, and you want to minimize the unscheduled sessions. And what happened was that we made all these invisible things visible, and this was combined with managerial tools, and then you can plan all these operations and strategic decisions better so that you don't get any unpleasant surprises running with a fleet of ships. Case 3 is something we did with large companies like Pöyry and Caverion. We are building a huge area or construction somewhere around the world, and there are thousands of suppliers and suppliers of suppliers. There can be man with a van, or there can be huge international companies. And it's always a new case when you don't know the local dependencies and cultural factors and how different partners value different things. And this tool we have done is kind of understanding all these dependencies and seeing these small things that can escalate. And it has been tuned with several real-time projects, and then it corresponds very well to real actions in very complex investment projects. So then you can try what happens if there's influenza epidemic somewhere. What happens if there's a port strike, for instance? And you can see all kinds of things and escalating factors based on that with all the players in the stakeholders ecosystem. So what we did with this was evaluate the risk in real time and keep them manageable and prevent them from escalating. So this is kind of real-time solution for solving complex small things that might escalate. Case 4 is circular economy. We did an analysis and model for Saga City in Japan. And in this case, it's a sort of public-private partnership. There were several things we considered there to create a circular economy ecosystem. But one example there is the rice straws. You cannot burn them because it's causing corrosion for the machinery. You cannot put everything into the ground, and it would be nice to create high-value products out of these. There's hemicellulose, there's lignin, there's many things. And we actually used PCT expertise on materials and chemicals and processes on this. The key question, however, the leverage factor in this case, was the circulation and collection, logistics and infrastructure. There are lots of small producers of rice in the area, and it's not profitable for one player. So should there be a kind of deposit system logistics for earning, or should there be city involvement in this infrastructure? And how do you manage this so that you get all these parts in an ecosystem working properly? And then, of course, this has to be integrated to other ecosystems, so textile collection ecosystem and wood construction waste ecosystem, because you only get rice straws 3 months in a year, and it's not profitable for anyone to build business based on that. So it means in this case, how to make the business logic, earning logic there so that you get all the relevant stakeholders in the ecosystem. Because if there's someone missing, then the whole sort of house of cards will collapse in this case. You cannot make it happen. We do a lot of transportation cases, and we have built systems where we evaluate future citizen behavior and selection of transport mode, and also models of how electric vehicles and gas vehicles and public transportation will form together. And usually all these kind of things are very short-term sectoral analysis, and then when you evaluate traffic system, there's everything connected. There's business, there's citizens, there's value, there's brand image, and you have to take all of these into consideration. We implemented a tool where we can evaluate what happens in future, how citizens are able to consider electric vehicles or public transportation or biofuels. And if you would only boost one of them, like electric vehicles, then you would do a disservice for public transportation. So if you want sustainable urban transport, you have to take all of these at the same time and see what happens if public transportation would be completely free, or if there's bike lanes, or if there's different kind of peer pressure from other citizens to sort of ease your carbon load. And all these can be evaluated together. And in this case, it was understanding the consumer or citizen behavior in the future and what are the leverage factors when they make different decisions. The case 6 is sector integration, and this took place in Vienna. In this case, there was a campus of Austrian Institute of Technology, and it was developing a new energy system. And we modeled very many different scenarios. What happens when certain buildings are producing energy and some are consuming that, and what kind of solution is optimal for all of those. In this case, we created 36 different scenarios, and we can test all of them together and how this complex thing works together. And this was sort of using modeling approach to find the optimal solution for all these different stakeholders and energy creation methodologies. Now, if I put everything together, VTT City2 supports decision making. We identify complex cause and effect relationships. So what will affect what? Especially in the Saga case, we can see if there's no collection infrastructure, what is the effect of that on all the other stakeholders in ecosystem. These are sort of communicated for different stakeholders, all these different mental models. So you can argue and say that you have forgotten that one, or this is important, and I like that part in your model. Even though these people are not experts in mathematical modeling, it's a structural model, and it's very easy to communicate for others. We aim to understand the long and short-term effects of things, and usually these are opposite. So when you are saving money on short term, you have big problems in the long term. Or if you are putting investments now, then the payback time is after a long time in smart city. Road to hell is paved with good intentions. So we are anticipating unexpected consequences. So ripple effects and what might happen if we do these things. And this is very typical when we do legislation and seeing that if we put this kind of incentives, then what might happen? What are the side effects that take place? And in most cases, we are identifying leverage variables. So how to create a positive spiral of events. In many cases, it can be, for instance, traffic solutions are leverage factors for creating new business areas and ecosystems. And in everyday operations of ship, the maintenance systems are in leverage point in this case. And then we simulate all kinds of decisions and impacts of those. So then we can see what happens, and we can do 100,000 of these, and then we can see sensitivities and how likely certain things are from happening. So to sum up, this is the important thing is that it will make you understand and make all these invisible things visible. And when we sort of put things together, then we can combine things like sustainability and money and people's behavior. And what we have talked is the major challenges we face today. And this is the need for multi-sectoral collaboration to address challenges in global significance. And we need disruptive solutions that combine know-how from different sectors in a holistic way. At the same time, we need to explore the impacts of different solutions. And with PTT CityTune, we offer a tool and a process for it. It provides you with different scenario simulations, what-if cases. It provides choices so you can achieve your desired impacts. So these are kind of the key questions, and if you want to make smart business and smart sustainable cities, the time to act is now. If we are just waiting and see what other people are doing, then you are not feeling your whole potential. It doesn't take a long time to carry a CityTune model. We very often go from top-down approach and see the relevant factors even in very small projects. In some cases, some CityTune projects only take for 1 month. But usually you build on top of that. So once you see the relevant points, then you start building larger and larger projects and build very complicated simulation and decision support tools. But thank you for your interest, and if you are interested, please contact me or Kirsi Kotilainen at VTT. Beyond the obvious.